all busy people, so let's keep our planning of training sessions simple. I find if I don't pre-plan trainings, they tend to be boring and the same each week. I tend to do my favourite activities, the easiest activities. Each training needs to be different, needs to be varied, so players are excited about coming to training. They're more engaged with the training session and therefore will learn lots more. Plan an outline of your season at the start of each season. Give each session a focus so you can refer back to each week before planning your session in more detail. If you need, you can change the sessions according to what your players need at that time. But at least you've thought about the skills you need to cover throughout the season and any special sessions you should incorporate. Firstly, let's look at the number of sessions in a season. Let's say 17 for your season. Have a look at the school holidays and public holidays and when you're likely to train or not to train, so you can plan ahead. Consider different types of trainings. Things like match play for the whole session, a round robin with a few other teams, doing a circuit and then play a match, or some minor games. Maybe have a social outing. What about a beach session or a pool session? I've added a circuit and a round robin to this season. Now let's look at the warm-ups for your season. 5 warm-ups plus a match warm-up is really all you need. A match warm-up is the warm-up you'll do before every game. I'll go through 5 different warm-ups for you now, so over the season you just need to repeat these warm-ups 2 more times each. The first warm-up I'll call Follow the Leader. All your players need to do is get into pairs, one the leader, the other the follower.
Girls, this time face each other. Face each other, and you're only going to be going left and right, like across the court that way. So if you two could move up a bit for me. Yep, so we're not going to crash into each other. One be the leader, the other one the follower. So just go about no more than half the width of the court, changing direction at any time. Off you go. Yep, running rather than sidestepping. Running, make sure you're running, not just sidestepping. Yeah, and change direction halfway as well. Okay, change your leader. Good. Okay, pass the ball with 2 hands around to the person behind you, and then they'll pass it around again. Off you go. Yep, so twisting around. Okay, change direction. Okay, take a step apart. Now do the same thing. So you've got to stretch. You have to do it with 2 hands. Don't throw it, just be close enough so you can just reach each other. Spread out a little bit more if you're too close. So you're really stretching to each other. Change direction. Okay, back close to each other again. This time someone's going to pass it over the top and the other person passing through your legs. Off you go. As in, just hand it to them, don't throw it. Just hand it to them. Over the top, underneath. Really bend down and get it. Great work, you two, here.
This is a great stretching activity while the players are having fun. Notice that so far in this warm-up, players have been in pairs and still are in pairs for this last activity, around the world. Players around the outside of the third have a ball each, and their partners are in the middle of the third. The inside players run and catch a ball from one of the throwers and pass it back. They then run to a different thrower to receive a pass. They can't go to 2 throwers in a row who are on the same line, They must go to different lines for every pass. Players swap places and repeat it again, going faster this time. Another warm-up can be all tunnel ball games. These are great for warm-ups for all age groups. They include stretching, reaching, and running. Here's some varieties you can add to your own as well. The first variety, the ball is rolled under everyone's legs to get to the last player, and they run to the front to repeat it. Everyone goes through once. Having 5 players in each line is a perfect number.
Okay, to get the ball to the back, you've got to go left, right, and person runs to the front. Go.
This time players roll the ball through the legs and then have to leapfrog over the top of everyone to get to the front of the line. Ensure players are spread out so there is room to jump and step between each other. Another one, players roll the ball through the legs and run to the front, but when they get to the front, they keep running and their team follows them, staying in order. Run to the other transverse line and file around so they're facing in the other direction, and they roll the ball under and it continues. Again, everyone goes through once.
Next game is a combination of the last two. So you've got to roll it through the legs, be spread out, jump over the top of everybody, get up, run to the other end. Roll it through, jump over, get up, run to the other end. Okay, it's really key, girls, that you leave space between you and the next person, so when somebody's jumping over the top, they've got room to put their feet between each player, so you're not going to sprain your ankle. Okay, so make sure at the other end you're spreading out right to the baseline. Okay, ready? And go.
All kids, and in fact players of all age groups, love Chasey games, or as some people call them, Tiggy. The first one, if players get tagged, they need to stand like a scarecrow, and to get freed, someone else has to crawl under their legs. The next one is leapfrog Tiggy. So if they get caught, they get on the ground so someone can leapfrog them to free them. If you have more players, have more than one player with the bib who is tagging. Bridge Tiggy. If they get caught, they balance on their hands and feet with their bottom in the air. To get freed, someone else must crawl under the bridge. You could also try 1-2-3 Tiggy. Get players into groups of 3 or 4, and each player in the group numbers off 1, 2, 3, etc. Each group plays their own game of Tiggy, but all groups are using the same space. So they need to keep their eyes up so they don't crash into each other. The coach calls out a number, and that number in each group chases the other players in their group, and the coach calls out another number. Now plan what warm-up you want to do before each match. So there's your warm-ups planned for the whole season. Now plan the ball handling section of all your training sessions. Whether you coach your country's team or the under-11 school team, ball handling is a huge part of the game, and you need to practice it all the time. Practicing it with quantity and quality is the key. Using what you learnt in the earlier units of Netball Advantage, particularly the organising and variety units, let's plan the ball handling for your season. Firstly, start by setting your group size. Alternate working in 2s, 3s, 4s, and as a whole group in alternate training sessions. And then I'm sure you could plan 2 sessions for each group size. Then you only need to repeat each of these sessions once, and there's your ball handling sections for the entire season. You may even consider repeating each ball handling session 2 sessions in a row. Young players sometimes like being familiar with the activities. In the variety unit of Netball Advantage Course 1, you learnt a number of 5 to 10 minute ball handling sessions in a number of group sizes. So I'll fill these in your table now. Now it's your turn to use what you've learnt in previous units to fill in the 3 blank boxes. Remember to choose whether your players will be in 2s, 3s, 4s or a group. Have variety. Start with the first activity and then vary it slightly from activity to activity. Organisation. Concisely organise your players into the positions you need them to be in, so everyone will be safely doing the activities. Organisation. Keep the players in the same format for the whole ball handling session. Observing. Instruct the players how the activity works, and then stand back and observe the players, thinking about what players need to learn so they'll improve quickest. And whether you're coaching young players or the elite, simply change the intensity the players are working at. Together, let's plan another ball handling in pairs session. Players run with their partner across and back the court, passing to each other quickly so they don't step. Also ensure the players are running, not sidestepping. What would be wrong if I set up the players like this? Players are squashed up, so it could be dangerous. Players are all dressed the same. Or too many players will be waiting for their turn in the lines. You never want too many players in each line. To change this, you could have 3 smaller groups doing the same thing, 1 in each third of the court. Players need to be kept active with just enough rest time so when it's their turn, they can give 100%. How could you change the activity slightly to vary it? What about having one player running forwards and the other running backwards? Change it again. Have the players who are running backwards pass surprise passes. Now go back to the first variation and get them going faster. Each pair could now do passing races. Surprises. And side to side. So there's another ball handling section already prepared. Now for the second ball handling in 3s. Try this sequence. Drive towards the ball. Pivoting in 3s. Rotations. And rotations with surprise passes. Now for a ball handling session in groups of 4. Drive towards the ball at each sideline. Right, left, right, and then swap throwers. Repeat these activities with the throwers closer together, and you can add other varieties too. So now your ball handling for each training session for the whole season is planned. Add your own varieties to each section, and you can choose which ball handling sessions you do each week depending on how many players you have at training. So if you had, say, 9 players, do one of the ball handling in 3 sessions. If you had 8 players, then do the ball handling in 4s or 2s. At each age level, there are different skills that are appropriate to teach. Have a look at this table. So each week, choose a skill that you want to teach, usually depending on what your team has had trouble on in their last game. Progress each activity, so the skills get more complicated as they go along. There will be more on this topic in further Netball Advantage courses. And in the gameplay section of your training session, you can play a full game, half a court, centre passes, or minor games. Make sure you reinforce the skills you just taught. So now you should be well on your way to having the majority of each training session planned for next season. Of course, after each match, you might want to adjust the session slightly so that you cater for what your team needs to work on now. Remember, when you're planning your training sessions, don't just think about what activities you'll do, but how you'll coach them. How you'll vary the activities, how you'll organise your players, and how you'll explain simply and concisely, just one coaching point at a time.